His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Swami Prabhupada ki.
Yes.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki.
Yes.
ISKCON founder Acharya Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Namacharya Sri Das Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kumkiri Gopinath ki jai. Shri Vrindavan ki jai, Shri Markadan ki jai, Ganga Maya ki jai, Yamuna Maya ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Samavita Bhakti Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Forgive this cough, I've been having a lot of 2 months of health purification. Started with bronchitis for 2 weeks, then got better, then had COVID for a week, then got better. Then I had pneumonia for 2 weeks. I'm coming out of pneumonia like 2 weeks ago. But this is the body. We get this to remind us that we gotta take it serious. That's what I think it is. So. When I was asked by Chandramani Swami to speak about my spiritual master, many of us have heard his glories, have heard his qualities, and I've also heard the wonderful things he has done from, many speakers. There are some aspects of his life that is very personal, that sometimes I feel his female disciples experienced it. That's the hidden gem. that the women, the background, we go through that. One question that I always get asked by devotees is, what made me surrender to my spiritual master? I come from a very strict Telugu Indian family, very, very strict. Very strict. Believe it or not, I was raised Christian. I was born in a Christian family. So actually my father right now, he's 70 plus, 78, 79. He's an ordained Christian minister. So I grew up in a Christian family. Read the Bible 3 times, but I don't remember anything now. After all these years, And, but at the same time, because I was raised in a very strict family, being the firstborn, and Indian families, they put a lot of pressure on the first child. Boy, girl, it doesn't matter, we gotta live up to the standard, and I broke all the standards. So that wasn't very, my father was not very happy with me. So that's when I met my husband, and he was a Bhakti at that time. And he was preaching Krishna consciousness to me through the Bhagavad Gita. And the first lecture he gave me to hear, those days it was cassettes. That's how far back I'm going. And the first lecture I heard was called Unconditional Love. Beautiful lecture. When I heard it, it caught my heart. And then I remember feeling that deja vu, like I've heard it before, but I don't know where, And I told my husband at the time, I said, I have to meet this person. And then my husband had me meet him. And when I met my spiritual master, I'll never forget that day. This was in 92, I think. And my husband said to me, you have to meet him, but you gotta wear sari and come. I said, oh God, so I took one of my mother's saris because I don't own anything, and I just went and met him. And it was a 1-hour conversation, and I remember he listened so intently. Like that's one thing with him. When he speaks with you, you feel like it's only him and you in the room and no one else. He gives it full attention. And I was sharing with him all my miseries and all my problems and my family and how strict they were and all that. And I told him that, I'm very unhappy. After 1 hour, he listened and he says, this is how I surrendered to my spiritual master. He said, whenever you get tired and whenever you feel like running away, you come to me and I will protect you with an M16 rifle gun. That's it. I surrendered. That's all it took, was that M16, because he didn't own one. He said, but I'll protect you. I said, okay. And I said, I found it. There's nothing else I need. Not even my parents, not even my family. So shortly after that, we got married. And my Gurudev was he travels a lot to Africa at that time. He spent 6 months in the US and 6 months in Africa. When he came back, we were already married, my husband and I. And he said to me, so you ran away, huh? He says, don't worry, I have my M16 gun. And I said, that's all I need, Gurudev. That's all I need. But when I became a devotee, my family disowned me. Completely disowned me for about 4 years. They cut me off of everything. I felt orphan. I really felt an orphan, because I was married to a man who was not Indian and joined in Hare Krishna from being a Christian, And the father's a church minister. It was a blaspheme to his name. I remember my father used to tell people, no, I sent my daughter to Nebraska to school. No, he cut me off, that's what he did. Completely. 4 years. So when that happened, I never, ever once felt an orphan. Because my spiritual master was my father and my mother. He gave me both. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. He never made me feel like I was motherless or I was fatherless. Never once made me feel that way. And not only that, he gave me the whole God family. So I already have siblings. Everything was just planned by the Lord, you know? Like I didn't have to worry that I have no mother, no father. I didn't have to worry that I don't have my sister. Krishna gave me so many sisters and brothers. Complete family package. Like it's like a package deal. What more can I ask? Nothing, you know. And 6 months later, I got initiated. And in fact, that was pretty fast. I remember devotees were telling one of my senior god sisters, you know, she just came. Is she really ready for, you know, throw in a fire? Like, is she really ready? And my spiritual master said, no, she's ready. Throw her in the fire. You know, 6 months, yes, you know. And at the time, see, nowadays I don't know what it's like, but in the old days we had something called Bhakti training, where everybody had to go for training before initiation, you know. And we had to, it was a 6 months course actually, and I remember we had to read like 10 books. And it was taught by my senior god sister, Mother Rajalila, and was taught mainly by her. And she would set the papers, she would set the questions, but the papers were graded by my spiritual master. And I used to get, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is like, you know, graded by the guru, you know. What if I write one wrong word? You know, I was so scared. And it shows how personal he was. Being a guru of so many disciples, of so many countries, and a GBC at the time, he had time to grade our papers. He was literally grading our papers wrong, yes, this, that, whatever. So he was grading my papers, all our papers. And then I remember one of the tests, and I don't remember the test, but he graded the paper, and he came to me personally. This was after morning program. And whenever he walks up to me, I get scared. It's a natural feeling, you know. And when he came up to me and he said, I really liked your answer. And I was thinking, what did I write? What did I write? Must be, you know. And I really liked your answer. He says, yes, you're ready. I said, okay, good, you know. Then came initiation time. Again, he normally has 1 day initiation, and the second day he has Vedic marriage ceremonies. He likes to do that. He did it every year until he left, you know, the planet. And he allowed his disciples, again, so personal, so personal. He allowed his disciples to share anything as an offering to him, you know. So he knew that being a Christian, I was in the church choir, and I used to sing, you know, in the choir. So he said to me, Anasuya, why don't you sing? And I said, oh boy, you know. So I knew of one song. I said, you know, I don't know of any Sanskrit songs. I just got initiated. The only thing I know is the Mangalartis and the Samsaras, and I said, I know, you know. So there was a Christian song that I really loved, and I grew up with it. And I said, this is a perfect song. But what I did was I changed the words. You know, wherever it says God, I put Krishna. And wherever it says Jesus, I put Guru. So I sang that song, you know. And I remember that initiation, Mother Krishna Nandini. How many of you know her? You know, yeah. She was there at our initiation, and Mother Kamakiri. All the big time, you know, proper disciples, they were there. And what happened was, when I was singing the song, devotees, I looked around. I wasn't looking at my spiritual master because that awe and reverence, you know. I was looking at the devotees and thinking, why are they all so sad? You know, I'm looking and looking, why is okay, I'll just keep on singing, you know, because I had to complete the song. It was an offering to my spiritual master. And then I saw some smiling, some crying, some wiping, and thinking, oh my God, this is not supposed to be a sad song. You know? I'm glorifying my spiritual master. Why are these people crying? And at the end, when I concluded the song, I looked at my spiritual master, and he was crying. And I said, okay, that's it. The first day of initiation, my life is through. I said, tu gaya beta, finish. The first day you met your guru cried. You know? And then he screamed and he said, Haribo, Haribo. I'm thinking, wait, he's crying, he's wiping and saying Haribo. I don't get this. And then Mother Kamagiri took the mic and she said, the girl who made her spiritual master cry tears of joy. So whenever she sees me, Mother Kamagiri, up until today, even when I saw her in Gitanagri, she said, before I can hug her, she goes, Anasuya, the girl who made her spiritual master cry. She gave me that title, you know, like, I said, Mataji, I'm going to put it on my tomb when I die or something, you know. And my spiritual master said, beautiful song. Very, very nice. He was very personal. It was very, very personal. So since then, whenever there's any event, he would always have me sing. And I would pick Christian songs and I'll change the words. You know, God to Krishna and Jesus to Guru. Perfect, you know. And he loved it. He actually loved it. Soon after the initiation happened, see, the joke of this matter is I married my husband 3 times. Believe it or not. And when you marry 3 times, there's no getting out of it. Unfortunately. The first one was the civil marriage, the second was the Vedic, and the third was the church because his family were Christians, you know. So I remember one devotee said, Anasuya, ain't no backing out, 3 times. It's time. I said, yeah, Prabhu, let's see how long, you know. But Krishna's mercy, it's been 33 years that I've been married, that we have been handling each other in marriage, you know. And as they say in Krishna consciousness, and we hear this a lot, you know, after initiation comes the purification. And ours started 1 month after initiation. Hardcore. It came, you know, when it says when it rains, it pours. I think for us it felt like it was a tornado every day. After 1 month of initiation, we both had chickenpox. Down. And because my husband got it at an older age, he almost died. Had I not called the doctor that night, they said it almost arrested his brain. Then we lost our jobs. Then we lost our car. Then we had no money. It was just going boom, 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 boom. All in 1-2 months. Then after initiation, when we got over the chicken pox, this was in July, I remember. And August, when we were all cleared, I'll never forget this day. I went to my spiritual master, we both went up to him because for 1 month we didn't see him. You know, we want to go speak this darshan. 1 month later, we went up to his room. This was in DC. And he was very happy to see us, very happy. And I said, Gurudev, you know, it was intense purification. And I said, you know, why is Krishna doing this? He says, oh, don't worry. Krishna's favoring you. I said, say what? I said, no, the math is not adding up. I said, Gurudev, when Krishna's favoring you, you should have good things. He goes, no, it doesn't work that way. Nectar construction, they wipe you out. I said, then how am I going to pay the bills? What do I do? There's no job. Because don't worry. Krishna's favoring you. He's giving you extra favors. So be glad. I'm saying, how do I be glad in this situation? very new initiate, you know, very, very new. 2 months. That's okay, whatever Gurudev says, we'll just do. Then we found some jobs here and there, part-time. And by the end of that year, I again lost everything. And I told my husband, this is intense purification. I said, I don't know what we did in our last life, but this is intense purification. And it was so bad. I remember it was really, really bad that we couldn't pay our rent. We had no money for groceries. And we had a townhouse, 3-bedroom townhouse. And I remember telling my husband, you know, I think we gotta give everything up and let's live in a car. It actually came to that stage, you know. Krishna's mercy, the devotees, my God family, they all pitched in and paid our rent for 2 months and gave us luxury for groceries. That's what made us survive Krishna consciousness. And that's what I meant, you know, when my family disowned me, I didn't feel any sadness because I got a whole family. I had, you know, 25, 30 godbrothers and god sisters. What else do I need? And a guru who's a father and a mother. What else do I need, you know? Then, I remember we were going to Ram Navami in New York City. This was in 94, 95, something like that. 94, I think. We went for Ram Navami. This is the strict part of my spiritual master. When we were in Brooklyn, we drove my Gurudev in his car, in our car, to take him to Brooklyn, and he had a program in Brooklyn Temple and in Tuaco Temple back in 94. So then as we were driving into Brooklyn, I haven't been to New York at that time, you know. So I told he asked me, Anasuya, have you been to New York? I said, no, Gurudev. He goes, you're in for a shock. I said, why? Is it that bad? He goes, yeah, it's the hell. I said, okay. So I'm looking outside and, you know, we were in New York and I didn't know that we were in New York. And he says, and then I started making this comment, I said, why does this place look so dull? He says, because we're in hell. This is New York City. I said, oh, Krishna Chaitanya, you know. And so he had a program in New York, and then he had a program in Tuaco. Then very next day. So there were 2 drivers, my godbrother and my husband, 2 cars. And those days there was no cell phones, so they had to use the road atlas, you know, to get the direct. It was like old-fashioned, you know. So he told my husband, my godbrother, get the road atlas, get the directions from New Brooklyn Temple to Tuaco, because we gotta get at a certain time. And my husband is a believer of road atlas. He has every state of books in his trunk. Yeah, he can collect 2 months sometimes. So he had it, he was set. My godbrother did not have it. So it was time to leave. And we were just pulling out of Brooklyn Temple and headed on the bridge towards Tuaco to cross the river. And my godbrother was lost. And somehow we couldn't find him. Then in the traffic, we found him, and my husband had to, again, no cell phones, you just wave your hand, say pull over, kind of a thing. That was the old days, you know? That's just how it was. So we flagged our hand and he pulled over, and my Gurudev was so mad. He pulled over and he told my godbrother, you stay back and you find your way to Tuaco. I'm going with Bridget. And he drove off. He says, you're wasting my time, you're wasting Krishna's time. Ciao. That's it. He literally left my godbrother stranded on the, I think it was Holland Tunnel or something, stranded in traffic. Didn't care. Didn't care. I felt so bad. And he was furious. You know, when he gets mad, you don't look into his eyes. Never make that mistake. So we didn't look into his eyes. So we got to Tuaco and we spent the night there. And each time I want to ask him something, I'm thinking, no, not good. No, it's very high temperature. You know, just stay away. You know. I just want to ask, do you want water? I'm like, nope, he's giving me the glare. I'm not going to look at him. Late that night, my godbrother got to the temple at 1 in the morning. Yes, that's how lost he was, with no directions. And the next morning when my spiritual master saw him, he didn't say a word. He completely ignored him. And I told my husband, he's dead. Because that's my spiritual master, he's very heavy. He does not like anyone wasting his time. Because he sees every second as Krishna's time. He does not like wasting his time. In fact, my spiritual master, the reason he stopped driving is because he got into an accident many, many years ago. I think it was in Africa, somewhere in Europe or US. Because he didn't want to waste time, he would drive and read Bhagavad Gita. Yes, and got into an accident. Because he's like, I can't waste Krishna's time. So he had, okay, it's either I stop reading or I start driving. So since then, just let the driver drive and I'll read. That is how he was. He never let a minute or a second. So if any of us waste his time for a second, he'll be very upset because you're wasting Krishna's time. You're wasting Prabhupada's time. We don't have time to waste. That was his nature. He was very, very strict on that. Then the second time we had to take my spiritual master to, I forgot which temple. And amongst the devotees, we had a nicer car. So we always thought it was very nice to take the guru in a very nice car, you know. And my husband and I were working at that time. And we couldn't take the time off from work to take our spiritual master to point A to point B and bring him back. Because we wanted, like how Prabhupada would go in Rolls Royce and Jaguar. You know, we wanted our guru to go. I think at the time we had a white Lexus, those ES300, very old model at the time. And that was the only nicer car to drive him, and we said we couldn't, you know. You know what actually happened? I tell you, Krishna is amazing. That's why I say the spiritual master is everything. The moment we could have sacrificed and made arrangements, we could have done it, but we didn't go the extra effort and extra mile because we was attached to our current position with work and this and that and whatever. And my Gurudev was very kind. Okay, fine, no problem. He was very, very compassionate like that. 2 weeks, or was it a week later, something like that, our car got pounded by the DC government. That same car that we said no got pounded by the DC government. They took it to the car pound and chained it. This is 94, 95. And to get that car out, now, those days money was big, now it's not. We paid $600. $600 in 94, 95 to get the car out. I told my husband, never, ever am I saying no to Gurudev. Never, ever am I saying no to him. That's when I learned the lesson. Never say no to the spiritual master. Ever. I mean, $600 gone, burnt. Because, simple request. So that was one lesson for us, is no matter how difficult the task is, never say no to the spiritual master. Just by saying no, Krishna can slap us. And that was a big slap for us, huge slap. Because after that, not only did we lose the car, we lost our jobs again. Again, the cycle started, gratification. Lost our jobs, lost our home, lost everything. So much so that we got evicted 3 times from a townhouse to a smaller house, and then from an apartment. We got evicted 3 times. I told my husband, if that is not a message that we are dull, I said, we gotta make a change. We are doing something wrong. So Krishna was just taking things away. Jobs, literally wiping us clean. Now, mind you, my husband is a PhD. Should be easy to find a job. Not for him. He was getting purified. Seriously. And he was teaching at George Washington University, one of the top universities. Krishna just took it. And that's when I realized, whether we have a bachelor's, master's, PhD, whatever, it means nothing before the spiritual master Krishna. Worthless. So everything was taken away completely. And we got evicted 3 times. 3 times. And at one point we were staying at my godbrother's house, Madhvacharya Kunti. And I told my husband, I said, I think we gotta move out of DC. This place has really beaten us up really bad. Whatever we're doing is not happening. So I said, why don't we go to Gitanagari? And at that time, my Gurudev just became GBC. And the reason he became GBC was Gitanagari was going through a lot of changes. Devotees were moving away. It was almost close to losing the property, actually. That 355 acres that Prabhupada wanted to come and couldn't make it, And nobody wanted to take that project. So when he went for the micro GBC meetings in '94, they were said it's either someone takes it or we lose that project. Nobody, because it was a mess. It was a mess, so much so that the road that you see Gitanagari, right? That's what it was in the 80s and early 90s. They had to scrape it to sell, to get money, to pay the mortgage, to maintain the property. So when we moved to Gitanagari, it was just clay road. It was just shale and clay, So when he became GBC, he was hoping some of the disciples would help the project. So we said, okay, we will go to my spiritual master. And he was very happy. He says, I really need a couple of grahastas to go. So yeah, Gurudev, DC has really beaten us up to the max, like we're a dead horse here, we gotta get out. He goes, yes, very good choice, go to Gitanagari, stay in my house, and you guys can take care of it. And you just pay the bills, the utility bills. In my mind, I'm thinking job. So and I remember this was in '95 Mother's Day. We packed everything in the U-Haul truck, and we were going out to see my Gurudev to tell him that we were leaving to Gitanagari. This was a very special moment for me. I was very attached to my spiritual master because one is, he was my mom and dad, pretty much. Very, very much so. And I was so attached to him, like being away from him, I felt like my part of my existence was missing. I felt very empty. So when we told him that we were leaving to go to Gitanagari, he came up to me, he gave me a rose, a red rose, and I was crying because I didn't want to leave, but I had to go, because I didn't want to leave him is what it is. He came up to me and he said, Anasuya, I might get a little emotional, so, tolerate me, bear me, because some moments are very, very emotional for me. He said, I'm always with you. I'm never away from you. And I'll be there soon. And he gave me that rose. And I remember taking that rose. And I went downstairs and I looked at it. And I cried. And my god sister came up to me and said, you saw Gurudev? I said, yes. And I told her, you know what he said? And she says, what? That he's always with me. And she says, of course, why are you doubting it? And I said, but he looked straight into my eyes, That was a very powerful moment for me.
He was very, very personal in that way. Very personal in that way. And we drove that night to Gitanagari. Myself, my husband, and my godbrother who left us Bali Maharaj. And Bali's a big guy. And my husband was driving, and I was in the middle, and Bali is here. So they're both big guys. I'm like, and believe it or not, of course I'm overweight now, but when I joined Krishna consciousness up until before the killed my daughters were born, I was very skinny. I was 118 pounds. My Gurudev would say, Anasuya, people will think that you are anorexic and I'm not feeding you. And I said, I'm eating. I know when I can't gain weight, I'm eating. But the girls came and they got all the weight on me, But we drove, and Bali Maharaj, he, whole 2 hours, he sang the Mahamantra. And he has a very interesting tune. He sings it like a Baptist minister, And it goes something like this. How I don't coffee. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He sang that same tune for 2 hours, all the way to Gitanagari. We got there 11 p.m. that night, just hearing Bali singing, And it was just Bali, me, and my husband, and very few devotees. At the time, there were literally on the dam 4 women and 1 Bhakti Jeff. Bhakti Jeff was running the cow protection program, the cows. The temple was run by Mother Kalini, Prabhupada disciple, Mother Indoleka, disciple Satsrup Maharaj, Mother Annapurna, disciple Satsrup Maharaj, and Mother Lita Saki, Prabhupada disciple. So I was very fortunate to have a lot of association with very senior disciples. Mother Kalini was my one of my shikshas, Prabhupada disciple. And my first service when I got to Gitanagari was to care for Prabhupada's Vyasasana. That was my first service. Every morning I had to wipe Prabhupada's Vyasasana. I had to change his glass, his water cup, his jug, put his bead bag for japa, and put his glasses on him and Bhakti. Every day that was my service. And that helped me to build a relationship with Prabhupada. And my other service was to cook the evening offering, I think, something like that. Because somehow Mother Brajavila told Mother Kalini that Anasuya can cook. He went all the way from DC to Pennsylvania. Just by landline phone. Now it's like WhatsApp and they get it, and this is like landline phone those days, And she goes, oh, okay, Anasuya can cook the evening offering. And I enjoyed it. But we had to find a job because we had to pay the bills for my Gurudev's house, and those bills were very expensive at that time. So again, we went to my spiritual master and we said, Gurudev, we have to find a job. Now this is another joke, and this shows the interesting part of my spiritual master. He says, you know what, Anasuya, you go find a work, let Pritchard stay back. I said, good, but he has a PhD, I don't have a PhD. What job will I find? He goes, no. He can start a school, you go out find a job. I'm thinking to myself, this is Ulta. The PhD got it easy and I got it hard. I said, okay, surrender. So I finally found a job in a nursing home, and it was night shift. And the reason I chose night shift was because I don't have to feed the residents meat. That's why I chose night shift. Because I don't have to deal with feeding them anything, So it was from 11 a.m., sorry, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift. And I remember at the time it was very difficult to work a night shift, plus do service, plus care for Prabhupada. Oh, another service that Mother Kalini gave me, things have changed in Tirtha because what used to be the prasadam, what is the cafe now? I think it's a cafe. That used to be the temple room, and the prasadam hall. And upstairs, it used to be the ashram, So she would tell me my service was to sweep all the 3 floors and mop it once a week. And then she'll come to spot check. So there's no dust balls. So one time she saw a dust ball. She said, Anasuya, do it again. So again I had to sweep and mop. It's very austere, But I looked at it as, okay, Gurudev, you brought me to Tirtha, we are doing service, I'm just surrendering myself to a proper disciple, that is for my purification. And at that time, we didn't have a car, too. We just moved. Again, and we came to Tirtha in 95 with $151 US. That's it. No job, no car, just $151 US and whatever furniture we had. And we had to find a job. And we had to find a car. So, and we had no money to buy a car. We only had $151 US. Even our bank accounts were zero. There wasn't a penny in our bank account. Nothing, just that cash. So what we used to do is we used to walk from my Gurudev's house to the temple 3 times a day. Mangalarti every morning, Bhakti class, breakfast, come back. Lunchtime, walk again, come back. Dinner time, walk again, come back. I think that one month of walking, I lost so much weight that, what can you do? And we couldn't find a car. And one devotee said, disciples asked Maharaj, he said, I know a car, but it's very, very old. I said, Prabhu, right now we're the beggars. Give us whatever car you have. It was a 1966 Ford Galaxy. Old. It was old, it was rusted, and it was leaking. So when it rains, you get drenched by Indradev, So I remember sometimes we had to plan, we will check the weather first. Make sure that it's not raining. If not, we have to go and just have to hold buckets, like small little bowls, to hold the water. It was really bad. And that too was in the driver's front seat, Yeah, it was crazy. Very austere life. And so we had that car for about 1 year, and whenever we had to travel, make sure that it doesn't rain, because there was leaks everywhere, And then after 1 year, I think we had another old beat up Volkswagen Beetle, 1970 something, That was another one. Yeah, it was very austere. And we did that for about a year or so. And then came my Brahman initiation. Actually, I was not supposed to get Brahman that year. It was just my husband and a few other devotees. But they needed pujaris at that time. So the day before, it was initiation weekend. I remember my god sister, my god sister told me, Anasuya, you're getting Brahman. I said, huh? But and I said, I said, Mother, why did my name come up? I'm not prepared for this. She goes, no, we need pujaris. And I said, but I gotta go to work next day. I'm working night shift. She goes, this is what she told me. When the spiritual master says, you just do what you gotta do. So what I did was I called my office and I said there was a death in the family. That was an easy way out. Oh, I'm so sorry. No problem. You had 3 days bereavement. I said, good, 3 days. That's all I need to get over this person. That's what we did, Anything for the spiritual master. So then I got initiated, and my Gurudev knew that I had to make a lie. So he asked me, "What did you say, Anasuya? Someone died?" He goes, "Yes, someone in the world must have died, so that's fine." You know, I said, "Oh, yeah, that's right." Because I didn't say who, I just said someone. You know, got my bases covered, you know. And as soon as I got initiation, I thought they would give us some time to memorize and learn the Gayatri mantra, you know, get some settling in time. Nope. As soon as I got Brahmin initiation, that 2 hours later, literally, Mother Indulekha said to me, she's one of the perpetrators, "Anasuya, tomorrow morning, I'm picking you up." I said, "For what?" "Oh, you're going to be my backup pujari." I said, "For what?" And she said, "Oh, they didn't tell you?" I said, "Nobody told me anything. I'm just a Brahmin, that's all I know." "Oh no, you're going to be training in Vada Kalachanji." The Chota Kalachanji in Dallas, you know, very, very sweet. I said, "Okay, Mother." So 4 o'clock she came pick me up, 4:30 was Mangalarti, and that was like, you know, those days, they just throw you into service. They don't ask. I'll be honest. You know, those days, they don't ask. They just give you, they order you, they throw you, you just execute it. That was life in those old days, you know. I said, "Sure, no problem." 1 month later, they said, "Oh, Anasuya, I need you to learn to dress like the Damodar." I said, "Listen, give me time. Kalachandi is already intense. You're giving too much Radha Krishna deities now. You know, can you give me some mercy? Give me golden life for a change, you know?" They said, "No, no, no. Mother Karmisha has to go to India. She needs a backup." I said, "Okay." So I got trained on Radha Damodar. So I became the Pujari for Damodar and for Kalachanji whenever they traveled. Then after a while, the Pujari for Gunitai had to go away to a different state, had to move. Then I became the Pujari for Gunitai, Gunitai Gosundar, for about 10 years. But I was shifted between Gunitai, Radha Kalachanji, and Radha Damodar. You know, the gopis I avoided. They're very intense. The only one that can really beautifully serve, in my humble opinion, the gopis is my godbrother Ekavir. He's the best. And I can see, because I've dressed with him, that when he dresses the gopis, I can see the love, the exchange between the gopis and Ekavir is like, whatever he does, they're like, "Problem, Ekavir. No problem, Ekavir." Like very, you know, they have some kind of ras, I don't know what it was, you know. But I don't trust the gopis. I said, "Ekavir, that's your department. You come handle the gopis, you know." So, 90, we were still living at my Gurudev's house at that time. We lived with him. By the mercy of my spiritual master, my husband and I had the mercy to live with my Gurudev for 3 years in his house. It's very, very kind, very merciful. Lot of beautiful pastimes with him, you know. See, when he became GBC of Gitanagari was not the way it is today. Gitanagari at that time was literally a village with not even bare necessities, I'll be honest. The only thing, when he became GBC, the only thing that we had to do was to maintain the mortgage payment, maintain the bills, bring the groceries, to cook for the Lord, you know. My spiritual master focused a lot more on community building, devotee relationships, because there were a lot of devotees, 4 or 5 families that left Gitanagari. They live outside of Gitanagari, but they kind of cut themselves off for whatever was happening in the history of Gitanagari at that time. My spiritual master, I witnessed him. He went house to these devotees and would spend hours to counsel them, to talk to them, to hear their cries, to hear their plight, anything to bring them back to Gita. He spent hours. Every day he was getting devotees coming to his house, crying, counseling, help, whatever. And he would give hours of his time. Hours of his time. He focused a lot on community sanghas. He started the men's sangha. He started the women's sangha. Actually, he was one of the backbone of the Vaishnava ministry in the 90s in ISKCON North America. Yes, he was. He was also the backbone. Now it's called Child Protection, but those days it was called Children of Krishna. Krishna. It was headed by Janava. She passed away. And Maharaj was one of the organizers on the backbone of even the child protection back in the 90s and the Vaishnava ministry back in the 90s. He was a very strong advocate for women and children. He used to organize, to bring the community together, to bring and start community relationships. He would do anything. He would have movie nights. He would have pizza nights. He would have popcorn nights. He would have swimming in the summers. And he would have Thanksgiving gatherings. He would have Christmas gatherings. Anything to bring the devotees together. Any excuse he can find, he'll have it happen. When it's July 4th, he'll create something, whatever. And give some name and then some. That was his nature. And he spent a lot of time doing that. And it really benefited. It really, really benefited. In fact, one of the games that he would, like during the summertime, what he would do is, we used to go to a park that had a lake, and it's still there. It's called Greenwood Furnace State Park. And devotees would have like a July 4th picnic, and we all would go out and bring prasadam and potluck. I remember that the one time, all the men with Maharaj would go and swim in the water. I said, Ikavir, that lake is Maha now! Because he swam in it. I said, let's get some little water. Just, young devotee, just wanted something, But there was 2 games that he would always play. And he broke the rules. All the time. My spiritual master was a very fast runner. The reason being is when he was young, he was very athletic. And that came handy for him when he was serving behind the Iron Curtain, when he had to run away from the KGBs. He would. That's when the running came into big help for him. He said that he was such a good runner that one time he ran so fast that the KGBs couldn't catch him. He was gone, next day over. That's how fast of a runner he was. So he used to do this relay races, at the picnic. And he would cheat. And he would say, go there, you're supposed to go there, just and the balls. Whatever. Don't say anything. Just, let him cheat. He's a guru. That was his pastime. Another one he would do was volleyball. And he would have 2 teams, and he always picks, because my husband is a volleyball coach in his younger days, not now. And so he would pick Ekavera and Parikshit to have both the teams. So they used to play volleyball, And whichever team my Guru Dev was in, he'll break the rules. And my husband is a strict volleyball coach, he followed the rules. And I remember so clearly, you remember that? I remember there was one time my husband was going to serve or something, and my husband said, Parikshit, the term is out. But Gurudev, the rule. I made the rule. says, no, girl, it's a ball. I am the volleyball coach. And he's like, okay, girlie. What do I do? You don't serve, I serve. That was Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. You know, he made life very exciting. And the reason he made life very exciting is because, see, now again it's different. In the old days, there was no Maya. You know, in the whole town, there's only one gas station. There's only one grocery store. There's only one traffic light. There's only one bank. What else? No movie theater. There was no movie theater, you know, so there was nothing. There was no Maya for distraction. You come out of your house and you either hear peacocks or you hear the cows moving or the birds. It was one of the three, you know. So we had to add some excitement to our Krishna consciousness. So because there was nothing, so that's what he would do. He would create this and he would create, sometimes he would do bicycle rides. You know, he would get everybody to bring on the bicycles and he would go, I think you were there one time. He went for a bicycle ride and he'll cheat there too. Any game you do, he will break the rules. You know, no, I make the rules, I'm the boss. That was his nature. And we were fine, okay, you know, Krishna, you know, whatever. We surrender, kind of a thing. So he would always do stuff like that to create community building. That is what really helped. So much so that he even taught us, like whenever a new mother was going to give birth, the community would cook for their family for 1 month. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Gives the mother some time for healing, give the father some time to whatever. So for 1 month, I remember one year, there were 5 of us were pregnant. I was one of them. With this girl. There were 5 of us pregnant, you know, all in the span of 12 months. So everybody was on the shift, okay. And the funny thing was that out of the 5, the 3 of us were back to back. My first daughter was born in December. The other girl, my other godsister's daughter was born in January, and the other one was February. So they were on a rotation to cook for 1 month, you know, that's just what it was. But that brought bonding. So we had a life in Gitanagari where we were each other's brothers and sisters keepers. Completely community. There was nothing, you know, there was, like I said, there's nothing in town, nothing to distract us. You know, in fact, if we wanted to go anywhere for groceries, for example, we had to drive to Walmart, which was like a half an hour away. So devotees gave it a name. We call it Walmart Dam. Because when we get tired, we'll say, I gotta go to Walmart Dam to get some Maya. Because sometimes you just want to get away from the farm. You just need some space, you know, you just want to hear the honking or something. There's life out there because there's no life here. And there was no cars. In fact, I'll tell you another joke, it was so funny. Some of us women who knew how to drive had no license. I was one of them. And we used to drive among the devotee community without a license. The cops wouldn't come, so we were okay. But that's how we got around, but we couldn't take it to town. So we had to find 1 or 2 devotees who are legal drivers and said, we need to go to Walmart Dam. I need some ice cream. You know, or I need some sugar. Or I need some something, you know. So for us to go to Walmart Dam is like going to New York City. Seriously. So it was just simple. Life was simple, and that's how he made our lives. He made our lives very, very simple, you know. Very, very, very personal. Those days when I was working night shift, he felt really bad for me, Maharaj, and because he was getting a lot of calls. So we had an intercom in my room, intercom in the kitchen, and intercom in his room. So if there's anything, he would just press and we know what he wants, you know. So what happened was at one point, the call came and I didn't, because I was sleeping, I had to go to work. And somehow I heard the phone ringing in my mind, in my dream, and I got up and I answered it. And then, but when I answered it, he also answered it in my Gurudev and he started talking. I felt so bad. And I went up to him and apologized to him. And I said, Gurudev, I'm so sorry. He says, Anasuya, when you have to work, and this is another amazing point of his personalism. When you are working and you have to sleep, do not answer the phone. I'll answer it. I said, Gurudev, I can't, I'm a servant. He says, you need to sleep. You gotta go to work. So I said, okay. I went down and I still wasn't comfortable with my spiritual master answering the phone. And the phone rang and I answered it. He says, Anasuya, hang up. And then he came downstairs and he says, turn the phone off in your room. Strict instructions, That was his personalism. My relationship with him was like father-daughter. He was very much a father-daughter with me, There was one beautiful pastime with Niranjana Swami. Never forget this. I say it in all my classes. This was in 95. Maharaj came to Gitanagari, and I think for a week or so, and he had a disciple who now lives in Alachua, Malini. She was living in Gitanagari at the time. So she cooked for Niranjana Swami and I cooked for my spiritual master. And it was lunchtime, and we made the plates up, and we were in a heated moment that we forgot to cover one of the plates. Only the other plate was covered. Unfortunately, the plate that was covered was my spiritual master's plate, not Niranjana Swami's plate. So we took it in, he had prasadam, and then they were talking, then I had evening cooking service. And then I had to do the dressing. When I finished my service that evening, I walked into his house. We were staying with him at that time. I opened the door and intercom. Anasuya. I said, I'm dead. That voice, he has the different moods, you could tell. Come to my room. I said, dead. What did I do? I'm thinking in my mind, what did I do? While I'm walking, I'm like, what did I do? What did I do? Walked to his room, offered obeisances, and before I could get up, he started to blast me. Blasted me for 1 hour. And he said, you should know better. I'm thinking, what did I do? He's not telling the issue here. He says, you did not cover my godbrother's plate. You only covered my plate. I did not even think of giving. I wanted to attempt to give an excuse. One thing with Maharaj, he's a mind reader. He read my mind before I could, put my case forward. He says, and there's only one cloth, don't cover it. Either you have to cover both, or you don't cover it, but you don't cover one and the other, and especially not my plate. He blasted me. And there was my husband looking at me, why is this girl not crying? Because I cry very easily when someone scolds me. And I wasn't crying, I'm just looking in his eyes, straight up. I said, I'm not going to blink. I'm just looking into his eyes. And my husband's like, you okay? I said, shh. And I'm looking, I'm getting all the dose. I'm getting the fire, And then he made a comment that I didn't realize. He says, Anasuya, of all my disciples, I expected this much from you. I'm thinking, but why? He says, because you're my only Indian disciple. I said, oh, didn't know that. Didn't know that. I'm thinking, I thought he had others. That's when I found out that I was his first Indian disciple. Everyone else were either white body or black body or European, so I was his first. So because I was first Indian disciple, he expected a lot from me. Like I had to live up to standing out like, oh, Krishna, Chaitanya. So I started asking, what's the culture, because when you become a devotee, you forget all this. So I just said, what's the culture? What should I do, He says, I can get it from everyone else, but not from you, Anasuya. So you should know better. So never repeat this mistake again. He said, you serve my God brothers, sisters better than you serve me. That sunk in my head. And then he said, I want you to apologize. You're going to call them Mataji. You're going to apologize to her. And I said, yes, Gurudev. You're doing it tonight. I said, yes, Gurudev. You're going to go down and do it now. I said, yes, Gurudev. He was, that was his nature. So I went downstairs to my room, and I'm calling, and the Mataji wasn't answering the phone. So I told my husband, I'm not going to go to bed until I get this Mataji. If I have to go to a house or a farm, I'll do it. Because I know why she does. Because, what's it called now? I think it's that yoga center thingy, the yoga shop thingy. That's why that used to be quarters for grahastas, you know. So finally she answered the phone. And I said, Mataji, I'm so sorry. It was definitely wrong on my part. I wasn't thinking, you know, I was in heat of a moment. I said, please forgive me. And, you know, I said, don't worry, we're cool, whatever. So I slept that night, thank God. Next morning was Mangal, because we take it for Mangalarti every morning. So next morning, Mangalarti, we got in the car. As soon as he sat in the car, he turned back, he says, did you call? I said, yes, Gurudev. Did you apologize? I said, yes, Gurudev. Okay, Precious, go to the temple. That was him. He took it very seriously. He never wanted us to not treat his God brothers and God sisters any different. Always has to be high class. There was another event, this was Rath Yatra at Gitanagari. Mother Malati was there, Chandramani Swami was there, one of the sannyasi, I don't remember. And all of a sudden it rained. So we had to bring the whole Rath Yatra from outside to inside the temple. This wasn't in the temple that's in right now, this was post-2000. And when that happens, a lot of shifting has to happen, you know. So even the guests got their prasadam late. And I assigned 3 cooks to cook for the 3 different gurus. And everything was late. And there was my Swachimana sitting on the Vyasasan in the temple when I'm by the entrance of the temple. I'm trying to tell him something, he won't look at my face. And I knew I was there again. I just knew it, you know, and he looked at me, and each time I looked, he would go like this. Because I want to tell him that the boys are cooking for Swami. He said, you know. And somehow I got one boy to go and tell him that the boys are cooking is going to come. He said, tell her I'm displeased. I was dead. I was okay, that's it. I have to do some tapasya. I must stand on 1 feet or my head or something or whatever because I displeased my spiritual master. And the prasadam finally came. And then after they ate, then he ate. Then the whole day was messed up. I said, he didn't look into my face. Like he just would turn. Each time I turned, he would turn. Like he doesn't want to see my face. I said, I felt like a thunderbolt just came to my head. I went back after the whole festivities. I told my husband, I'm really sad. I'm so sad that I really made you really upset. And then around, I think 7:30, 8:30, something like that, you know, the phone rang. I answered the phone, like I normally do. And the voice said, Anasuya was my spiritual master. I'm thinking, what do I say? Because I just displeased him. And then he was laughing. And I said, wait, 6 hours ago, you didn't want to look at my face. Well, you know, what happened? And he's talking normal. You know, this is, you know, good service. I said, Gurudev, but I displeased you. Oh, it's okay, don't worry about that. I said, okay, Krishna, this is Guru Seva, you know. One day to the next, you take blasting, the other day you take sugar. That's just how it is, you know. So that one really woke me up, you know, that serving his spiritual master is really, really important to him. His godliness is very, very important to him. So much so that anything with devotee relationship, community relationship, devotee care, mothers, children, elderly. He was very, very particular. So there's one of my god sister who had a very difficult pregnancy. That she had to, she was delayed, I think a week or 2. She couldn't deliver. They had to take her to a children's hospital in Danville, Geisinger. And the baby had joined us while she was pregnant. And it really concerned my spiritual master so much. He told me, he said, Anasuya, I want you and Chintamani, my other god sister, I want you to go to the hospital, be there for one day, and see what help they need. So we had to drive 3 hours, went up to Danville, and spent all day. And he did not eat until we got back. We got back, I think, around 10:30 at night or something from Danville. As soon as we got back, because he was calling both their husbands, where's your wife? Are they back? Where's your wife? Because he wanted to report. Again, those days it was just payphones. And somehow the payphone wasn't working in the hospital, so we couldn't call him to tell him what was happening too. So as soon as we came back, he called and we gave him it was like 10:30 at night. He says, thank you. He said, Ekavera, bring my prasad. Whole day he did not eat. That's how personal he was. So personal. Even with his disciples, he was that worried and concerned. 1999 was a Columbine shooting. I don't know how many of you were here in America at that time. It was a massive high school shooting in, was it Denver? Columbine was in Denver? I don't remember. But it was a high school shooting and a lot of children were shot, And this was April 99, I remember that, because she was about 2 years old. And when he came back from Africa and he heard about the Columbine shooting, we arranged for a darshan for him. And when he walked to the door, we all were welcoming the spiritual master. When he walked the door, he looked very morose, very sad. He didn't smile. And we were thinking, should we stop the kirtan or what should we do? Because it was very, very morose. And as soon as he sat down, he didn't even do any intro. He just went straight into the Columbine shooting. He was so affected by the Columbine high school shooting, so affected, he cried in the darshan. He shed tears in the darshan. He says, those innocent souls were shot. They were kids. He says, the world is full of hatred. He says, we need to show kindness. That was a 4-hour darshan. We didn't have lunch. We just went straight, 4-hour darshan. He says, we need to show kindness. He says, people are becoming so, so cold and so rude. He was 4 hours he was speaking. He said, we live in a country area. People may not accept us because we are not white bodies. We are dark skinned, but we still need to be kind. So we asked him, Gurudev, how? He said, smile. That's what he said. Smile. He says, when you're standing in the cash register line, turn around and ask the guy, how do you do, sir? And then we said, but Gurudev, what if they don't answer? It's okay. You be the nice person. You don't have to be grumpy like that. And then he said, what if they say something? He says, just say good morning. Say, how do you do? Say, oh, it's a sunny day outside. Say, oh, it's so cool. Say something. Start a conversation. When you do that, people will think, these people are one of us. We are not above. He says, we want to be equals with them. Be their friend. He says, the reason the world is full of hatred is because there's so much no time for each other. We forget to be kind. We forget to put a smile on. We forget to, let me help you. He even said, if you see an old lady, help her put her things in the car. He says, these are the kindly human courtesy says, this is why the world is full of hatred. 4 hours he spoke. 4 hours. I have never seen him that affected with Columbine shooting. So affected. I mean, he cried for children that he don't even know. All the kids that were shot, he didn't know them. He shed tears. And then I realized, wow, the spiritual master's heart is a reservoir. Unlimited reservoir. It's beyond. So what I have shared is just pieces of half of my life. You know, it's funny because Prabhupada was here for 12 years. My time with my Gurudev was 12 years. Interestingly. I just thought about it a few days ago, like, wait, it's 12 years, you know. What I shared with you was glimpses of what it's like to be a female disciple under his mission. And it's up to the first 6 years. The next 6 years I'll share tomorrow is way more painful, because that's when his health starts going down, you know. But there's some good times also, you know. But the first 6 years of my spiritual master, my life with my spiritual master is the Guru is everything. The Guru is everything. There's no one. We don't need to see anyone else but the Guru. We don't need to see an astrologer or psychic. It's the Guru. The Guru is everything, you know. And I firmly believe in that. The Guru is our friend, you know. And that's why I would like to conclude that we should, whenever we chant the Sri Guru Vandanam prayers, it's good to chant in English. My favorite part is, he opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor, the Lord of the master devotees. If we can recite that in English every day, it's really, really powerful. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much for allowing me to share a little bit of my spiritual master, glimpses of my life with him. I hope I didn't bring tears, because I did when I sang in 94. So, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes, Prabhu.
I have just one favor to ask.
Yes, Prabhu.
I've been asked by my Guru Maharaj's close disciples to write a book on these are identification for Western devotees. On the book called Spiritual Warrior.
Wow.
By
Bhakti Maharaj. Yes.
And I'm looking for a PDF of that book, and it's been now 2 years before I was given this project, and I still cannot find it anywhere. I don't know whether you or any of your
Hariam Press. Spiritual Warrior 1 and 2, or the whole 6 series?
At least the first book. Just want to.
I'll talk to you. I think I know I can keep you in connection with. Yeah. Thank you.
It is available on Kindle.
Oh, on Kindle. But you want the PDF format?
PDF, so that I can copy paste.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know who you can contact. Yeah, sure. Thank you, Prabhu.